Hello and welcome to India Business Hour. I'm Parikshit Luthra. Here are the headlines we are tracking at this hour. Israeli airstrikes on Gaza continue as per media reports, killing at least 30 people overnight. Over 5,000 killed in the war so far. Israel claims that at least 203 people are being held hostage in Gaza. President Biden says that trucks carrying humanitarian aid will enter Gaza via the Egyptian border from Friday. Prime Minister Modi speaks to Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. CNBC-TV18 Newsbreak confirmed government dilutes the import restriction on laptops and tablets. Imports allowed till September 2024 with valid authorization. The curbs will not apply to special economic zones. The government believes current mechanism is WTO compliant after US, China and South Korea raised the red flag. FMCG major Hindustan Unilever reports a steady second quarter volume growth of 2%. Marginally below estimates. Nestle India meets estimates in Q2 even as volume growth at 4% is below expectations. India's top pharma and healthcare executives believe consolidation is here to stay. Cipla's Umang Vora says innovation needs funding and that's a key driver for consolidation, but stops short of commenting on any potential stake sale in Cipla. That's an exclusive. Cement major Ultratech meets estimates in the second quarter. Revenue rises over 15% as power and fuel expenses remain in check. The company says the capacity expansion plan is progressing as per schedule. A big win for tax authorities. Supreme Court rules that a double tax avoidance agreement cannot be enforced unless it is notified by the government. Sets aside the Delhi High Court order that had allowed lower withholding tax under the direct tax avoidance agreement without a specific notification. Google to make Pixel phone in India. The first India-made Pixel to hit the market in 2024 also reveals that 20 lakh YouTube videos were removed in 3 months between April and June for violating policies. Nokia to cut up to 14,000 jobs after third quarter profit plunges nearly 70%. Sales also declined 20%, largely led by a sharp drop in North America. Global auto major Tesla misses quarterly earnings estimates for the first time in 4 years. On the other hand, Netflix reports strong earnings and adds 9 million new subscribers in 3 months. Netflix also announces price hikes for United States, the United Kingdom and France. Mumbai's air quality deteriorates. Experts say the concern is temporary. Says multiple factors including construction activity, below normal monsoon is behind the phenomena. Mumbai's civic body forms a task force for every ward to curb pollution. Our top story continues to be the war between Israel and Hamas. At least 30 people have been killed in Gaza as Israel's air attacks pounded the region overnight. Since the start of the war, more than 5,000 people have lost their lives. Israel's military is claiming that 203 people, including children, peace activists, the elderly and soldiers are being held hostage in Gaza. After his visit to Israel, US President Joe Biden said that Egypt has agreed to allow 20 trucks with humanitarian aid to enter Gaza. The aid is likely to start arriving from Friday. However, Biden warned Hamas against stealing this aid. Meanwhile, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak arrived in Tel Aviv as a show of solidarity. He said that he stands with Israel against the evil that is terrorism. French President Emmanuel Macron is also expected to visit Israel soon as leaders from the West continue to express their support to Israel. Pro-Palestine protesters in Chicago are calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Several Jewish protesters also staged demonstrations at the US Capitol Hill. Thousands of people are also rallying in Egypt, Lebanon, Jordan and Yemen in solidarity with Palestinians. In a tweet, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that he spoke to the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas and conveyed his condolences at the loss of civilian lives at the Gaza hospital bombing and asserted that humanitarian aid from India to Palestine will continue. He added that India shared deep concern at the terrorism, violence and deteriorating security situation in the region. He also reiterated India's long-standing principled position on Israel-Palestine issue.
I'm here to express my solidarity with the Israeli people. You have suffered an unspeakable, horrific act of terrorism, and I want you to know that the United Kingdom and I stand with you.
On to the day's market action. Market failed to hold its intraday recovery. Sensex slipped nearly 250 points and Nifty lost 60 points. Bajaj Auto is the top Nifty gainer after reporting healthy numbers in the second quarter. Oil prices softened after the United States eased sanctions on Venezuela to boost the flow of oil globally. However, fears that Israel's military campaign in Gaza may escalate to a regional conflict kept prices from falling further. For now, Brent remains slightly under the $90 mark. On to the earnings corner. FMCG giant Hindustan Unilever reported a steady set of numbers in the second quarter. The company's bottom line beat street estimates. Revenue and volume growth saw a minor miss. Manglam Malu joins us now to decode HUL's second quarter numbers.
For the second quarter, Hindustan Unilever reported a strong operational performance. Well, on the top line, it was a mild miss, but given the current environment, the street would take that. What really stands out from the numbers this time around is a sharp 700 basis points gross margin expansion that the company has reported. That's nearly 2 times the expectation, the average expectation on the street in terms of an expansion. Most were working with a number of around 300 to 350 basis points as well. That's not all. The EBITDA has actually grown above street expectations. The company has reported an EBITDA of close to 3,700 crores. The street was working with a number of 3,600 crores itself. And this is despite the company plowing back some of those gross margin expansions into ad spends. For instance, earlier, the same time last quarter, the company spent only 7% of its sales on advertisements, but now they've ramped that up by 65% year on year and have gone up to 11% of their sales on ad spends itself. That's telling you that they are putting their money behind their brands, and competitive intensity is high as well. And that's where the real softness comes in as well. The volumes grew by just about 2%. The street was working with a number of 3 to 4% as well. And in that, the management sees gradual recovery in the rural business along with high competitive intensity. They do expect some improvement coming in the near few quarters, largely on account of the festive season and gradual normalization in the FMCG sector as well. But by and large, these are a steady set of numbers, strong operational performance, and in light of the underperformance that we've seen in the stock, expected to do well in tomorrow's trading session.
We hope when we've gone through this whole cycle of inflation, deflation, and we're more in the steady rate, we should be looking at our mix of 50-50 volume value growth, and we go back to our traditional sort of CAGR of 8-9% that we've had in the last decade. So we're doing the right things for the medium to long term, and we're quite certain that given the fundamentals of the business are strong, that the competitive volume growths will come back, and we're very, very focused on that as a one single-minded mission for the entire company end to end at this point of time.
And staying with earnings, Nestlé's India third quarter earnings were largely in line with expectations. The company's net profit rose 37%, led by a one-time gain of 106 crore rupees. Sources have told CNBC-TV18 that the company's domestic volume grew at 4%, which is below CNBC-TV18's estimates. Nestlé India's quarterly revenue crossed 5,000 crore rupees for the first time. Cement giant Ultratech's second quarter numbers were in line with street expectations. The company's net profit rose nearly 69%, while revenue grew more than 15% annually. Power and fuel expenses were up more than 2% in the second quarter, while net debt widened to nearly 5,000 crore rupees sequentially. PVR Inox reported its best ever quarter in July-September on account of strong box office collections of Gadar 2 and Jawan. The multiplex chain's net profit stood at 166 crore rupees as against a loss of 82 crore rupees in the previous quarter. Average ticket price jumped by more than 25%, while footfalls rose over 60%. India's top pharma and healthcare executives believe consolidation is here to stay. Yes, speaking at the CNBC-TV18 PwC CEO Dialogue, Cipla's Umang Vohra said innovation needs funding, and that's a key driver for consolidation. But he stopped short of commenting on any potential stake sale in Cipla.
Are we likely to see that radical transformation mean that Cipla is no longer going to be the Cipla as we know it, and it is going to be sold?
So I'll just say this, that look, there's certainly a lot of news in the media about various transactions, interest. This is a significantly large sector for the country, and one to be proud of. I think the ethos of this sector is not going to change. I think CARE is still going to be deeply rooted in how India sees its role in the world. I can't specifically comment on any transaction in the public, but all I can say is that it's a fragmented industry, and one could expect that with the type of interest that's being shown, that there would be some amount of consolidation that could occur.
And you can watch India's top healthcare CEOs in conversation with Shireen Bhan on growth, consolidation, and much more at 9:30 p.m. right here on CNBC-TV18. And a CNBC-TV18 news break has been confirmed. The government has diluted the import restrictions on laptops and tablets. Under the revised norms, importers will need to acquire import authorization. The authorization can be acquired by submitting information on the value and quantity of their imports. The government says the mechanism is compliant with WTO rules as well. This after US, China and South Korea raised the red flag at the WTO.
The relaxations are more in the nature of clarifications, which have been issued based on detailed consultation with industry and various other stakeholders. We are trying to ensure that there is no shortage or no artificially created scarcity of essential computers and other equipment, which are very widely used in the country. Many people use them. Offices, students, a whole host of them use them. Even households use them. So we have to ensure that there is adequate availability of this equipment. Eventually, of course, we will be looking to see that more of it is manufactured within the country.
Just one follow-up question, sir. The import authorization valid till September 30th, 2024. Are we to assume there will be perhaps additional restrictions post that period?
Right now, we will study the data and we will figure out what needs to be done. So we can't make any assumptions today.
And would this mechanism, sir, be WTO compliant? Because that was one concern.
We anticipate that, we believe that this entire mechanism is WTO compliant, and we have not violated any element of our commitments under WTO.
I think we all, as governments, have a duty whenever we impose any regulations to fully consult with all of our stakeholders before we adopt those policies, and in this case, particularly with industry, and to make sure that we are communicating what the objectives are, what the security concerns are, and how our policies are narrowly tailored to address a particular security objective.
All right, let's move on. Tech major Google has announced its plans to manufacture Pixel smartphones in India. The first India-made Pixel is expected to hit the market in 2024. Tweeting the announcement, the company's CEO, Sundar Pichai, has said that the company is committed to being a trusted partner in India's digital growth. Shivani Bazaz has the details.
Well, yes, big news coming from Google's annual India event. Google's latest Pixel series of premium smartphones will now be manufactured in India. Google intends to start manufacturing in India with Pixel 8, and the India-made devices are expected to roll out in 2024. The company said that it will partner with international and domestic manufacturers in India to produce the Pixel smartphones locally. Now, many other announcements were also made at the event. The company disclosed that between April and June 2023, it had removed over 2 million YouTube videos in India due to policy violation, with the majority of these videos having fewer than 10 views. In response to this need for verified news, YouTube will now introduce dedicated page for news consumption in 11 Indian languages by Q4 of 2023. Now, the spotlight has also been on the financial frauds in India, and Google has launched DigiKavaj, an early threat detection and warning system designed to identify and study emerging financial fraud patterns before they could cause widespread harm. Other announcements like formal credit availability on GPay for small businesses were also made. Google will also partner with certified lenders for this. Now, Google also launched the Access My India app called A, which utilizes Google's Gen AI technology to provide citizens information about government schemes. Back to you.
Today, electronics manufacturing has already crossed $100 billion. Mobile manufacturing, which was practically negligible, has crossed $44 billion. Mobile exports is $11 billion plus. Practically every large manufacturer is bringing their design and manufacturing to India because our policies, our Prime Minister's vision has established India as a trusted value chain partner. So today's announcement of manufacturing Google Pixel in India is a very big announcement, and I congratulate Google for this. This is good for Google, good for India.
In global earnings, Finnish mobile maker Nokia has plans to slash its workforce by 16% by 2026 after reporting a 69% drop in profit. Roughly 14,000 jobs will be affected globally. The company says this move will help the company reduce employee expenses by 10 to 15%. Netflix reports a strong quarter on the back of a boost in subscriber base, which was driven by the password crackdown efforts. The company added more than 8.7 million subscribers globally during the quarter. This is the biggest quarterly addition for the company since the second quarter of 2020. Tesla reported a weak set of numbers in the third quarter. It missed street estimates on both earnings and revenue for the first time since the second quarter of 2019. Its revenue came in at over $23 billion, while earnings per share were at 66 cents. Operating margin fell significantly from the year-ago period. Moving on, the Supreme Court has ruled that a double tax avoidance agreement cannot be enforced unless it is notified by the government. The Apex Court has set aside a Delhi High Court order that has allowed lower withholding tax under the direct tax avoidance agreement without a specific notification. Now, this comes after some foreign companies sought to lower withholding tax, citing most favored nation status under direct tax avoidance agreement. Ashmit Kumar is here with more.
Well, an important decision this by the Apex Court, the Supreme Court, giving clarity on the issue of dividend and royalty payout, especially by Indian entities to their overseas partners. The issue boils down to what should be the ideal withholding tax rate. Is it 10% or is it 5%? That is the issue at the heart of the matter. The entire conversation began on the issue of under DTAAs, what is the applicable withholding tax? Does it require a specific notification? The contention of various parties, there were a batch of 11 applications pending before the Apex Court. The contention of the assessees of various companies, including Nestle, has been that once there is a lower tax rate with an OECD country under a tax treaty, then the same lower limit of 5% is applicable even to their parents in Netherlands or even to their parents in Switzerland, their parent company in Netherlands or Switzerland. That importantly has been held in the negative. What the Supreme Court has held today is that there does not need to be an automatic lowering of withholding tax rate from 10 to 5%. It happens only and only when the government comes out with a notification allowing that lower withholding tax of 5%. So far, the assessees, the companies had been of the view that the withholding tax is already at 5%, that they needn't cough up that withholding tax of 10%. Now the situation has been reversed in favor of the tax department. We are yet to get a full picture as to what the likely impact is going to be in terms of the applicable tax on royalty payouts and dividend payouts to parents sitting overseas.
Thanks, Ashmit, for joining us. Moving on, Dabur shares fell in trade after it announced that 3 of its subsidiaries are being sued in the United States and Canada. Consumers have alleged that the company's hair products caused ovarian cancer and uterine cancer. Dabur also informed exchanges that the 3 subsidiaries have denied liability as these allegations are based on unsubstantiated and incomplete studies. On to a CNBC-TV18 exclusive now. The government is likely to extend the exemption given to LIC from the 25% minimum public shareholding norms much beyond 5 years. Sources say that the government believes it won't be feasible for LIC to meet 10% of the norm by May next year. And coming up on India Business Hour, Mumbai's air quality, a cause for concern. Experts say it is temporary, but we will get you more in just a bit. And you can also catch all CNBC-TV18's news and updates on WhatsApp, Facebook, X, Threads, Instagram and JioCinema. You're watching India Business Hour. Election campaigns are in full swing in 4 states that are set to go to polls next month. While addressing a rally in Chhattisgarh, Home Minister Amit Shah said that the Congress government has done nothing other than opening liquor shops indulging in scams. Shah promised to make Chhattisgarh Naxal-free and said that the state will celebrate Diwali thrice this year. The BJP also released a list of 40 campaigners for Chhattisgarh polls, which includes Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Meanwhile, Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel hit out at Amit Shah by saying that BJP knows nothing but conversion and communalism.
मगर हमारे छत्तीसगढ़ में 3 दिवाली मनानी है। पहली दिवाली तो दिवाली के त्योहार की मनेगी, दूसरी दिवाली 3 दिसंबर को जब सरकार कमल की बनेगी तब मनानी है, और तीसरी दिवाली जब राम जन्मभूमि पर अयोध्या में जनवरी में प्रभु श्री राम का मंदिर होगा, तब भी राम के नैनीहाल में दिवाली मनेगी।
भारतीय जनता पार्टी के नेता चाहे अमित शाह जी हो चाहे रेणुका सिंह जी हो, लगातार असंसदीय भाषाओं का प्रयोग कर रहे हैं। अब वो तो संसद में असंसदीय होगा, लेकिन बाहर भी देखें जो बोलचाल में भी जिनका प्रयोग नहीं करते उन भाषा का प्रयोग कर रहे हैं, भड़काऊ बयानबाजी कर रहे हैं। देखिए, ये कितना भी बिगाड़ने की कोशिश करें, इनको सफलता मिलने वाली नहीं है। और इनके तो मास्टरी यही है, PhD इसी में किए हैं लोग। धर्मांतरण और सांप्रदायिकता के अलावा इनको आता क्या है?
From Chhattisgarh to the battle for Telangana, Congress leader Rahul Gandhi promised to conduct a caste census if the party is voted to power. Gandhi also questioned the silence of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Telangana Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao on the issue. He accused the BJP and Bharatiya Rashtriya Samiti of concluding to attack Congress. Meanwhile, CM Rao's daughter K. Kavita criticized Rahul and Priyanka Gandhi over their dynastic charge. She said, and I quote, "We know how to run our state by ourselves." With monsoons receding, Mumbai is now in the throes of its second summer. But for Mumbaikars, rising temperatures are not the only problem. CNBC TV18's Rachna Dhanrajni reports that a sharp drop in air quality is making it more difficult to see and breathe and get any relief. Experts say this may only be temporary. Take a look.
Mornings over the last 1 week. Air quality index in some parts of the city has spiked rather sharply, even rising past 300 in some cases, something that has happened barely a couple of times in the past. An AQI of 300 indicates hazardous air quality. Now, October heat is not a new phenomenon for Mumbai. Neither is winter pollution, but rarely have the two occurred together. While this has sparked concerns, experts say this will be temporary.
The western disturbance is prevailing over western Himalayas, so it will continue for another 2 to 3 days. So after, say, 21st or 22nd of October, the wind speed will be permanent, or you can say the continuous wind speed from a particular direction will be there, northwesterly winds, then the westerly wind during afternoon hours. So when wind speed will start increasing, then only the pollutants will disperse and there will be some relief. Then again, we think that yes, in the month of October, December and January, the pollution will increase because it's the normal, usual phenomena when winters are there.
Experts also say air quality has worsened due to a confluence of multiple factors, including construction activity in the city and a less than normal monsoon.
Mumbai did not get the expected rainfall. The withdrawal rainfall, it has resulted in sort of drying or dryness over the upper layer of the dust that was settled over the ground. And this dust now, with the type of the population index that we have, with the type of the transport vehicular movement that we have, and with the type of entire infrastructure work that is going on in the Mumbai, definitely this loosening of the dust.
In the interest of public health, the IMD and BMC are advising residents to wear N95 or N99 masks and curtail outdoor exercises in the mornings. Experts say that AQI above 300 is particularly concerning as it can lead to a lot of respiratory ailments which could be long-term as well as life-threatening in nature. Meanwhile, the BMC has come up with a three-pronged task force for every ward in the city. The subcommittee within the task force will work at limiting pollution coming out of construction activities. It will also keep a check on burning of solid waste around the city and regulate carbon emission levels out of bakeries, kitchens and even housing societies. Sources have also told CNBC-TV18 that penal action is being finalized for repeat offenders. In Mumbai, Rachna Dhanrajani.
With that, it's a wrap on this edition of India Business Hour. Thank you for watching. News continues right here on CNBC-TV18.